How many times have you suffered abuse from someone, feeling helpless and frustrated? How many times have you been disappointed by the selfish and petty behavior of the people around you? And how many times, when faced with certain events or certain people, have you asked yourself if it is really worth being good? If you too have asked yourself these questions, know that you are not alone at all. Unfortunately, in a world that often seems to reward selfishness and wickedness, goodness can seem like a weakness, a luxury that we cannot afford. But is it really like that? How are things really? In this video, thanks to a Zen story full of Buddhist wisdom, we will take you on an extraordinary journey to discover the true meaning of goodness. We will listen to the words of an old sage, the Buddhist monk Hargo, who will guide us through thousand-year-old stories and teachings. And it will reveal to us the secrets of a life full of compassion, kindness, and loving care. If you stay until the end of the video, you'll discover 7 surprising reasons why goodness, despite everything, is the wisest and most fulfilling choice we can make. And you will learn how being good does not mean being weak or naive, but rather strong and wise. Stay with us, because we promise that in the end your view of goodness will change forever. But before continuing, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This way, you will stay updated when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. The summer sun shone high in the clear sky, pouring its golden light onto the lush Zen garden surrounding the revered Buddhist monastery. A gentle breeze caressed the leaves of the trees, creating a sweet rustle that mixed with the singing of the birds and the murmur of the stream that flowed nearby. In this place of peace and serenity, the elderly and wise monk Hargo sat in meditation, surrounded by his disciples. The disciples, men and women of different ages and backgrounds, had come to the monastery seeking spiritual guidance and answers to the questions that plagued their hearts. They were drawn to the wisdom and compassion of Hargo, whose reputation had spread far and wide, drawing people from all corners of the world. That day, as the sun began to sink towards the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, one of the disciples stepped forward. He had a serious and worried expression on his face. "Master Hargo," he began in a respectful voice, "many of us are wondering, is it really worth being good in a world that often seems to reward selfishness and wickedness? Why should we strive to be compassionate and kind when others seem to take advantage of our kindness?" Hargo slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was deep and penetrating like an ancient well, full of wisdom. A kind and reassuring smile lit up his wrinkled face, marked by time. "Kai," he replied in a calm, deep voice, "your question is as old as humanity itself. It is a question that arises in the hearts of many, especially when we observe the pain and injustice that surrounds us." The monk stood up and began to walk slowly among his disciples, his orange robes swaying gently in the wind. "Goodness," he continued, "is not an abstract concept or a simple philosophical theory. It is a life force that resides deep within our being. It is the divine spark that connects us to the very essence of the universe."
The monk stopped and picked up a small stone from the ground. "This stone," he said, showing it to his disciples, "may seem insignificant. But, in reality, it contains within itself the same energy that animates stars and galaxies. Likewise, the goodness that resides in our hearts is a powerful force, capable of transforming ourselves and the world around us." The disciples listened attentively, captured by the Master's words and eager to understand how to behave with less good people. "I remember," continued Hargo, "the story of a young merchant who, during a long journey through the desert, came across an old beggar. The beggar was exhausted by hunger and thirst, and the merchant, moved with compassion, shared his food and water with him.
The beggar, grateful for his kindness, revealed a secret to him, the location of a hidden oasis, where the merchant could find refreshment and supplies. Thanks to that act of kindness, the merchant not only survived the desert, but also prospered in the years to come. Hargo turned to Kai. You see, Kai, goodness is not a matter of earthly reward or divine approval. It is not a contract with a higher entity in exchange for favors. Goodness is a seed we plant in our hearts, a seed that germinates and flowers into compassion, empathy, and loving kindness. The monk sat down on a rock, smoothed by the water, and invited his disciples to do the same. Goodness, he continued, is like a river that flows incessantly. It does not stop before obstacles, but goes around them with patience and perseverance. She is not discouraged by adversity, but continues to flow, bringing life and nourishment wherever she goes. But Master, a young disciple intervened, her eyes full of sincere curiosity. How can we be good when the world seems so cruel? How can we respond to hate with love and violence with kindness? Hargo smiled sweetly. The cruelty of the world is a reflection of the suffering that dwells in the hearts of many. When we choose to be good, we break this chain of pain. Our goodness can inspire others. It can plant seeds of hope and healing even in the driest soil. The monk told the story of a queen who, after losing her son in battle, decided to dedicate her life to helping the wounded and the needy. He founded hospitals and shelters, offering care and comfort to anyone who needed it. And his kindness not only alleviated the suffering of many, but also brought peace and reconciliation to the once war-torn kingdom. Remember that being good, Hargo explained, does not mean being weak or knave. It does not mean allowing others to take advantage of us or trample on our rights. It means choosing to act with integrity, respect, and compassion, even when we are challenged. While the disciples listened very carefully to their mentor's lesson, Hargo decided to list 7 reasons why we should always choose goodness. Goodness makes us happy, he said, introducing the first reason. Numerous scientific studies have shown that people who dedicate themselves to helping others experience greater emotional well-being and greater life satisfaction. Generosity and altruism activate the pleasure centers in our brain, releasing endorphins and dopamine, the hormones of happiness. Therefore, my dears, as science also underlines, being good has chemical and emotional implications that should not be overlooked. Goodness improves our health. Hargo continued. Compassion and altruism reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and strengthen the immune system. The older monks have always known it, but today's science also says it. People who practice kindness have lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, and greater production of oxytocin, the hormone of love and social bonding. Another aspect you should consider, added the monk, is that goodness connects us to others. When we are kind and compassionate, we create stronger bonds with the people around us, building a network of support and solidarity that enriches and protects us. Goodness allows us to overcome the barriers of selfishness and individualism, opening us to the experience of community and belonging. Goodness makes the world a better place. Hargo continued, every act of kindness, no matter how small, helps create a more positive and harmonious environment for everyone. Just as a stone thrown into a pond creates waves that spread in all directions, so our kindness can positively influence the people around us, inspiring them in turn to be kinder and more compassionate. Goodness also helps us in our spiritual growth and in achieving inner peace. The practice of compassion, in fact, allows us to overcome selfishness and open ourselves to a deeper dimension of existence. Goodness teaches us to see the interconnection of all things, to recognize the divine spark that resides in every living being. Another aspect the monk spoke about was the contagiousness of goodness. When we are kind to others, he said, we inspire them to be kind too, creating a virtuous cycle of positivity. Scientific research has shown that kindness is a social behavior that spreads easily from person to person, like a beneficial virus that promotes cooperation and solidarity. Goodness is our true nature, the monk revealed, leaving everyone speechless. At our core, we are all compassionate and loving beings. Goodness is our deepest essence, which is often obscured by selfishness and fear. When we choose to be good, we reconnect to our true nature, rediscovering the joy and inner peace that come from living in harmony with ourselves and the world. But Master, Kai asked, how can we defend ourselves from people who want to harm us? Must we always turn the other cheek? Hargo smiled. Goodness does not mean being passive or submissive. It means responding to aggression with wisdom and firmness. The truth is that we can defend our rights and protect ourselves and others without resorting to violence or hatred. The monk told the story of a samurai who, after being insulted and provoked by another warrior, remained calm and responded with words of peace. The warrior, surprised by his reaction, was ashamed of his behavior and asked for forgiveness, and the samurai, instead of taking revenge, offered him his friendship. Thus, his kindness not only avoided a bloody confrontation, but also transformed an enemy into a friend. Goodness, Hargo added, is our most powerful weapon. It is the force that can overcome hatred, violence, and injustice. We choose to be good, not because we are weak, but because we are strong. We choose to be good, not because we are naive, but because we are wise. We choose to be good because it is our true nature, our mission on earth. In essence, let's always remember that the advantages of being good far outweigh the disadvantages. So even if we get disappointments from some people, that doesn't mean that stopping being good to other people helps us. The sun had now set, giving way to a starry sky that sparkled like a myriad of diamonds. The disciples sat in silence, reflecting on the Master's words. Their minds were full of questions, but their hearts were filled with gratitude and inspiration. Hargo stood up and bowed to everyone. "May peace and compassion be with you," he said in a gentle voice. "May your goodness enlighten the world and bring joy to all living beings."